Last September, the lives of 20-year-old Franco Alfredo Deste's family changed forever when he was gunned down while having a fun night out with his friends. Joining me now are Franco's parents, Mateus and Natasha. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I remember when this all went down in September of 2019, and it shook up Cape Town from the inside out. But for some of those that weren't familiar with Franco, what type of a young man was he?
Well, you know, just to start at the beginning as a baby, I mean, from baby already, he was just a contented child, just a happy child, always smiling. And then, you know, if you go into when he started primary school, he just connected with so many of his peers. I mean, I always would get in his reports, Franco is like, you know, his peers love him, and he went up like that throughout of his primary school career. Also very academic in primary school. He had, like, his teachers always gave him very, very positive feedback, and I mean, he used to be in the top 5 in primary school, so he was really good academically. And then when he started dancing with out of Africa, I enrolled him into a dance school. That's when it really took off, and that's when his personality shone right through. I mean, when he got on that stage, he literally made crowds go crazy.
Yeah.
He had that personality, and he was just an entertainer, you know. So when he got to high school, I think that's when his social life really started. He became a teenager, and I mean, that's when Mateus came into his life. So he became a teenager, and it was difficult. We had challenges. I mean, he was, you know, pushing boundaries and that sort of thing. But I think really he blossomed into the boy that he was. And yeah, just connections, friendship connections that he made, that he's had since primary right through to high school. Yeah, he just shone, and it was great.
Absolutely. Now, Mateus, when you came in, absolutely, in his teenage, adolescent years, I mean, is this exactly what you experienced?
Yeah, the interesting thing while I'm listening to what you're saying is that it actually took this tragedy for us to get to know him. Because at home, he was a teenager, and we were the parents, and we dealt with all the normal issues. But after what went down, we actually learned from other people what his life was all about. We didn't know 80% of the stuff that he was doing out there, that we didn't even know about it. We only heard about it from friends and from other people afterwards, after this whole thing went down.
Yeah.
So.
And then his business flair also came up in high school. Like, we wanted to know what he wants to do when he's older, you know, because obviously he's getting to an age where he needs to sort of know what career is going. And his business entrepreneurship just shone through, I tell you. He tried so many different things in high school. Him and some friends started their own clothing brand called Afriking.
Wow.
And that's the thing. He was doing these things behind the scenes without us even knowing. Like, I knew he was, like, involved, but not to that extent.
And when you do speak about you experiencing and relearning, I suppose, getting reintroduced to the man Franco was, were there any red flags that you picked up as a parent?
We were very times worried, and we were preaching to Franco, please be at home at a certain time, all those sort of things. And afterwards, listening to what his friends were saying, and not just kids, I mean, adults were sitting in our house after this thing went down, crying, telling us how much he meant for them.
And how they trusted him with their daughters.
Yeah.
And the thing is that is just, it really shone through. Like, it was my biggest fear, obviously bringing up a teenage boy in the society that we live in. I was always fearful of it, and I used to pray about it so many times. But the thing is this, being from a single mom, because I was a single mom and obviously divorced, so he wasn't with his dad, that obviously, you know, it is one of your biggest fears. So I was very strict with him. Very, very strict with him. But, like, he turned out to be such a good child, like, even more than what I ever expected.
So let's get into the tragedy of what happened last September, or rather the other September. I can only imagine the nightmare that happens when a mother and a father, the family members, get that phone call, or the police show up at your doorstep. He was out with friends celebrating a birthday party. They were heading to town, and that's where tragedy struck. Can you just walk us through what happened as I just get the goosebumps?
That is the biggest fear, that the last thing you ever want to hear or is that phone call that comes through and your son's been shot. Like, that was my ultimate. I mean, I think we went into like a mode. We were like all numb, like we just like went through the motions. Got the call, and my daughter had just come home from a grade 10 dance, and got the call. You know, his friend said, get to the hospital. Franco's been shot, and I mean, that hospital scene was just it felt like forever. And literally, you don't think that you're going to walk out there without your son, or you're just going to think it's going to be a long road to recovery, but you don't think he's not going to make it.
I mean, when the call came through, Franco's been shot. I mean, you not immediately think, okay, he's going to die now. I mean, people get shot every day. Okay, now let's go to hospital and go see what's going on. And there's now a story. But we didn't for a moment think we're actually not going to see him again.
Yeah.
I mean, we went there and
I mean, he was one of his friends said he was shot in the stomach, and then I thought, okay, stomach, and I'm Googling, like, shot to the stomach, like, will they survive? Can they survive this? And then when we got the news from the doctor, it was something completely different. I mean, he got shot in his liver. It went through his liver. So, you know, it was very difficult. The chances of survival were very, very slim.
Going from that hospital scene when Umar says that it just felt like forever. Unfortunately, we were able to hear the last words that he shared with his friends. And in those critical moments when he was fighting for his life, his last words were, "Don't call mom until they fully stitched me up." I mean, as a mother, hearing that your young son was brave enough, even within that moment, he still had your back.
I know. It's amazing. And that is his true character of who he was. Like, he wanted to protect me and his sister. That was all he was about. And he wanted to protect me from the biggest fear of my life, of him being injured, you know, because he knew how I would have felt about that. So those words to me mean everything. And also just his innocence. Like, he didn't think that anything serious was going to go wrong, you know?
So much so that this has moved you as a family and moved us as a society, that you've started an incredible organization, the Let's Be Frank, that you're rocking on your chest
Proudly.
quite proudly. Can you tell us all about this initiative?
Yeah, it's amazing how it started because it wasn't planned.
Okay.
Mateus actually started with 3D printing of photographs of Franco when he passed, and we were going to just give it to the family and friends. And the friends and everyone loved it so much. My sister said, wow, this could be a business for other people that have lost their lost ones, because it's such a nice concept. You print the photo and then it actually shines through with a light, or with a light from the natural light from the sun, and your loved one just shines through, and it's almost like, you know, the analogy of it, the light shining through, yeah. So that's how it started. And then obviously with this year, with COVID and everything, I lost my job. So this was the perfect opportunity to go into like a small online business. And that's where it started. And then I branched out to clothing, because Franco was passionate about clothing and design and all of that sort of thing. So, and just business in general. And I think he lives through me now. It's really my purpose in life to do this. And I get emotional, but he's living through me, basically. And on the way here today, I actually listened to, a song was playing, Two Hearts Living in Just One Mind, from Phil Collins, and that's exactly what it is. He's living through me.
Yeah.
And the business. And let's be frank, it's like, let's be real, let's be honest. That's what the saying is. Yeah.
Well, as we all tear up here, I'm sure everyone at home is just wanting to find out, as much as we are comforting you as a nation, we're comforting you as his close friends and family members. What words of encouragement or maybe of comfort do you have for other parents, guardians that are also going through loss and they need to turn it around and find that light?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, and he showed it to us, is you need to live life. You don't know how much time you've got. Live life, live it to the fullest, and do what you need to do. That's basically what we can say.
Yeah, and then I think for me, I've walked this journey, and it's not an easy journey. It can be very lonely and isolating, even though there's a lot of people and a lot of support. You're still living it on your own. But I think through my faith, especially like having faith in God, I mean, that is the ultimate, because when you are in those lonely times, like, God is there for you always. And then just my family, like my husband has been such a good support, and my daughter. I mean, it's been challenging for her as well, especially through, you know, she's a single child now. And but I think, yeah, just knowing that you're not alone, and just I mean, Franco's friends are my friends now for life, and there are a lot of people going through the same thing during this time now. I mean, death has become such a big part of our lives. And just be there for one another, be kind to one another, and like just be careful what you say as well, like because it can really hurt people.
Words do carry weight.
So yeah.
I thank you both so much for your strength, your vulnerability, and to your daughter, Franco's sister. We do rally around you. We're hugging you tight. And I do know that you have changed lives in this moment to all of our viewers who are watching right now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.